Hello and welcome to the 44th episode of NiinaN Knitting. I'm back. I'm back in front of the camera, but I am recording indoors and not outside because Mother Nature is having a little bit of fun. Spring is here, even here in Finland, in central Finland, but well, it's been rainy today and we're expecting snow. So yeah, I hope that I'll have put a little video clip of the little bits and pieces where you can see that yes, it is springtime even here. The trees have got small leaves and the first spring flowers have appeared. So yeah, it's nice. It's been nice and sunny all week, or well, a couple of days this week, because today is Thursday, the second day of May. Uh, but I didn't have time to record um, at the beginning of this week. And now that I have time, well, the weather's turned not so pretty, and that's why I'm indoors. Um, Last episode, if you saw it, was a little bit different because I'd just had some surgery on my right eye. I'm fine now. I'm surprisingly fine. My sick leave ended last Sunday, and I had a check at the doctor's this Monday, and uh, he was surprised to see how well I can see with my right eye. So about almost 5 weeks ago, actually 5 weeks ago, I decided that I noticed that there was something really off with my right eye, something weird in my vision. And I went to the doctors, and she referred me to a specialist who said that uh, the retina of my right eye had come off or disattached from the base of the eyeball, and it's something that occurs every now and then with people who have severe myopathy. I think that's the word, which I did have, or well, actually still do, but I had some laser surgery on my eyes, on the front of the eyes, on the lenses, more than 10 years ago, and I haven't needed to wear glasses for over 10 years. Um, but anyway, that doesn't change the fact that my eyes, the shape of my eyes is different from usual. Uh, I don't have eyeballs, or my eyeballs aren't round. They're a little elliptic, or something like an ellipsis, and that means that the structure of the eye is there are weaknesses somewhere in which um, may cause the retina to dislocate or whatever, something complicated. Anyways, I had surgery, and now everything's fine, and I've gotten the all clear. I can even drive because I wasn't allowed to drive while I'd had the surgery, and yeah, so everything's great now. End of something that has nothing to do with knitting, or well, affected my knitting a little bit, but yeah. End of health talk. Okay, as to my knitting or yarn stuff, I have 2 finished objects and I have 3 works in progress. Last time I didn't have uh, any whips that I had been working on. I have a few that are kind of sleeping at the moment, but yeah. So after that, after last episode, I was talking about a few two projects that I was planning to start, but before I was able to go to the yarn store and get some yarn for one of those projects, I needed to do something. So my first finished object is a pair of mittens, and maybe I'll be needing them this weekend. This was something that I found in a Novita knitting magazine. So Novita is a yarn company here in Finland, very, very common, and they have their own uh, magazines, pattern magazines. And this was, I was browsing their magazine at the library once, and this pattern caught my eye. So this is what I did. So it has a name, but all the Novita patterns have these sort of descriptive names like mittens with vertical lines and an Indian thumb or something like that. And that's in Finnish. I have the link to the pattern on my project page, and uh, it's on the novitanits.com site. I think it's .com. And I think they have their patterns also in English. So maybe you'll be able to knit the same pattern if you think you like it. Well, maybe not now unless you're on the southern hemisphere and getting ready to start winter. Anyway, so I had never done the Indian thumb before, so that's why I wanted to try this. And I have two different yarns in here, and yeah, you can see a little bit here that this red yarn has these um, fiber that's different from the rest of the yarn. That's a difficult thing to um, explain. But yeah, that the red yarn is Novita Horde, and the fibers that you can see are reflective. So it's like a reflector in a yarn. And the green that looks, well, doesn't really look green on my camera, but it's dark green, or I think it's petrol green or something. That's just Novita Seitsemänvälistä. So very basic. 200 meters in 100 grams. Both of these yarns, I think, are the same weight. What I did differently from the pattern is I read some knitter's notes on her project that in the pattern you actually start this, oh, it's not a chevron pattern, but anyway, this pattern only after the cuff of the mitten. And there was somebody who'd made a note that it'll make a weird bump here on at the wrist if you start this not at the beginning but up here where you start the hand part of the mitten. So I did what she suggested and started this pattern, the increases and the decreases here in the middle, right after one or two rows of the vertical lines. What I didn't know that the gusset of the Indian thumb is really, really long, at least in that particular pattern it was. So if I was going to knit these same mittens again, yes, I would start this here, but as you can see, the cuff of the mitten is really long. So if I'm wearing a jacket, the sleeve ends right about here. So there will be a lot of mittens or a lot of cuff under the sleeve, which is just, well, it's difficult to pull it inside the sleeve or something. So if I was going to knit these again, I don't know if I will, I would not make all these sort of plain rows of vertical lines on this side of the mitten. I would do these garter rows here at the beginning, start the vertical lines, but then very quickly start doing the increases for the Indian thumb so that this would be shorter and I wouldn't have to stuff so much mitten into the sleeves of the jacket. But I think this looks really nice. It looks fun. Before I soaked the mittens, they were kind of um, like pulling like this, and but everything straightened out and got really a lot neater after I wet the mittens, and then I pulled them very much like this because I didn't want to have narrow and long mittens. But yeah, this is the first finished object. I'm wondering if the pattern has a designer. Yes, it does. Eva Schleicher Jaus. I'll write it on the screen. I used my 4.0 millimeter DPNs when I was knitting these, so that's US size 6. And yeah, that's everything I wrote down about these mittens. Maybe I will not be needing them this week, but they'll be ready for next winter. Then the second finished object, which is the only other finished object I have, is a pair of baby booties, whatever. I have a friend who every now and then contacts me and asks if I could make a pair of these for one of her friends. She works at the daycare center, and I guess she has quite a bit of colleagues or friends who keep having babies. So yeah, this pattern is called Baby Verses. I found it years ago in a Facebook group called Voihan Villasukka, and I used Novita Nalle yarn for the light blue here, and the white here is actually kind of thicker, but it worked in this pattern. This is some, let me see, I have it here. This kind of yarn, Örenbayan Dora or Badam Tricot Dora. I think this is just an acrylic, yeah, 100% acrylic. And this white one. The the light blue is the basic 75%, 25% wool polyamide blend. And NiinaN is a bit, I think it's a sports weight yarn or something. I used 3.5 millimeter DPNs when I knit these. That's US size 4. And the crochet hook was maybe 3.5 millimeter also. So for the construction is similar with the reverses that I showed you last time. First you knit a sock, then you do these extra bits for the laces, and then you crochet the sole and then the brim and some decorations. And with this one I just made a crochet chain for the laces, and now that I've shown them to you, I can stick them in the mail for the recipient. So this pattern, the designer is called NiinaN. Yeah, I've made quite a few of these. They're a nice project for some leftover yarns that you may have. Yeah, those were my finished objects. And then the works in progress. So before I even got to the store, I started a crochet project, another crochet project um, behind me. My daughter is in the daycare, and every spring before the summer holidays, I want to give the daycare teachers a little bit of something. And this year, what I have started making is these. It's called a phone cozy. So it's for your cell phone, and it's a fox. My daughter's daycare group, the name has the word fox in it, even though it has nothing to do with foxes. It's a plant that has the word fox in it in Finnish. Anyway, they do use fox illustration in their info papers and all that. So yeah, I found this online on Ravelry. It's called Red Fox Phone Cozy by Amanda Maciel or something. And I'm using a 3.5 millimeter hook. That's the letter E in the American system, I think. And the yarns are Noita 7 veljestä and this white that I just showed you. So you start with crocheting a tube, and then you attach it. I just used slip stitch, or yeah, crochet the slip stitch seam here at the back of the tube. And then there are instructions for the eyes and the nose and ears. I think I made some sort of modification in the ears because I have more stitches here. I'm using lighter weight yarn than in the pattern, so I've had to modify it a little bit. And then there's this part with the buttonhole, and then there'll be a button here to close it, and then I'll make a strap or to use it on your shoulder or around your neck. Haven't decided yet, but this is something that I've been working on, but now it's just been put aside for a little while because I have other whips that I like more. But yeah, I'll be making a few of these because I think there are 3 teachers in a group, and um, I'll be making one for each. My daughter is going to be a preschooler next year, so she'll be changing to another group. So I want to give her teachers something for all the time that they've put uh, used with my daughter. So that's one of my whips, and it's in a really nice leather bag that I've had for years. I don't remember where I got it from. I've used it as a project bag before. Now it was in my one of my closets for quite a while, and I was, oh yeah, I have this. It's very handy. Yeah, that's one of my whips. And let's turn the page for the next few whips. Yeah, well, I'll show you the pants first. Then there are quite a few Finns have knit woolen pants over the winter. Well, I'm kind of a slow starter. So I've started my pants. I actually started them on the election day. We had uh, parliament elections or something here in Finland a few weeks back, and on the election day and the night when I was looking at the results and listening to all the political blah blah on TV, I started making and knitting myself some woolen pants. So from scrap yarns, from my fingering weight scraps. And here they are. I started with a provisional cast on, and then I did some no, it's not 2x2, it's like 2x3 maybe, ribbing. And then I made a hole here to, well, you can't see it, but I made a hole, so I made, I don't know, a number of, not knitting on in the round, but back and forth to get this hole, because I'll be putting an elastic band here. And then when I'd knit enough, I folded it over, and then I um, undid the provisional cast on and knit this part so that I wouldn't have to sew this what's it called, for the elastic band. Anyway, then I continued doing stockinette stitches, and I started using other yarns than just the one that I started with, and doing the helical knitting, is it? Helix ribbing. No, not ribbing. Helix stripes or helical knitting, something. I'll put a link in the show notes for the YouTube video. Anyway, so just because I don't want them to be color blocks in a way, but I do want to use up all the bits and pieces of my fingering weight yarns. I'm holding them double here when I knit this, and I don't have any ends to weave in, because since I'm holding it double like this, knitting it, holding it double. Whenever I run out of one yarn, of course I end up, this is the sort of rest of the yarn. I'll just take another fingering weight yarn. Well, I don't have one here, but I'll just show you. Take another yarn and pull it through the rest of it and make a really long sort of loop. And then I just knit, and here's the join. I won't have to make any knots or anything. I'll just knit here, and when I get to the part where I can see that, oh, my one end of the yarn is approaching, then this is where I take the other end of the same skein and hold them like triple for a few stitches, and I won't have to weave in any ends, so that's handy. So the only ends that I've had to weave in was in the beginning when I started it, and then this first like yellow or green, whatever color, I've had to weave it in. At the beginning, but that's fine. Yeah, and well, as you can see, it's long, long, long. It looks huge. I've done some increases. I am using a pattern from Drops, so one of Drop Designs, and the stitch count from that pattern. It's called. Let me check. Rhoda. Yeah, the pattern is called Rhoda, but I did these short rows for the butt according to the pattern, and then these increases for the gusset here, and I'm at the point where I'm going to knit sort of narrow part here that I'll attach in the beginning, in the front, and then I'll start doing the legs. So I'm knitting this whenever I am not working on something else, and I'm really happy with how I've been able to use leftovers, really short amount or short leftovers or small amounts of yarn that I had. These will not be something that I will be wearing without anything. It's an undergarment, let's just put it that way. Or maybe I'll wear it at home when nobody is watching. But it's not something that I will want to be showing off. It's just a project to use my scraps for. And it'll be handy because in the wintertime it is mighty cold. And I'm the sort of person who really gets cold easily. So I have all the yarn, the leftover yarn that I've been using in my project page. They're all listed there so far. So if you're interested, go over on Ravelry and check it out. But I will not be starting to list them here, nor in the show notes, because everything is on my project page. Yeah, that's my second whip. And then the one that I talked about last time, but started just a while ago. So I mentioned that I was going to start knitting with a cowl with a knit along, and it was a design from Laura Nelkin. Yes, Laura Nelkin. And I hadn't heard about her before, but as it turns out, it's just me, and I hadn't heard anything about her. She's been designing for quite a while. She has quite a few designs online on Ravelry, but this is her design called Kitty. Let's see if I can find any good photos on the pattern that I printed out. No, they're too dark. Well, you'll see the end result. Okay, let's start with the yarn, if I can find the yarn, the ball band. So it's a project for which I have bought yarn. So has some stash acquisition here. First of all, I'm using Isager Trio. I think you can see that. And the colorway is called Blush. This is 30%, let's say 50%. Oh yeah, I forgot to check what that is. 50% flax, 30% cotton, and 20% bamboo, and about 350 meters in a 50-gram ball. And the colorway, as I mentioned, Blush. And then I'm holding it double with, where is the ball band? I just saw one. No, not there. Oh my goodness. Yes. Holding it double with the Sandnes Garn Tun Silk Mohair. And this is 57% mohair, 28% silk, and 15% wool. And there are 212 meters in 25 grams. I could show them to you. I have them in these crinkly bags because mohair and lace weight yarn. This is kind of feels kind of coarse. This is the Isager, and it's kind of rough. No, well, not rough, but what's the word? Hard in a way. In a skein or ball, or maybe this is a ball. I think this is more of a ball. Anyway, so this is each yarn or whatever is the kind of thin, as you know, because it's lace weight. So it gets entangled in to prevent knots. I'm holding it in a plastic bag because it's slippery, and that way it's easier to get it out of the bag. And then in the other crinkly bag, I have the mohair, silk mohair, which looks like this, and this is the Sandnes Garn. So side by side they look like this. So this is a little bit more orange than this. I think this was, the color was called terracotta. But when I'm holding them double, they look like this. This pattern, the construction of the pattern is that you start with one cuff, you do a couple of rows of garter, and then you start doing stockinette. back and forth. It's not in the round, back and forth. Then you make an opening for the, you make some, you cast on a few stitches for the one part of your body, and you do a provisional cast on for both sides. And when you're doing back and forth, then you split for the head, and then you join it together after you've done some shapings for the head, and then you leave some of the stitches on the other side on a scrap yarn or something, and then you go back and forth for the doing stockinette, working stockinette, and then a few rows of garter. And that's the first part of the of the sweater. And then you do the side panels, and because I haven't blocked it, they're really not neat. I mean, the edges are really not neat. I'm hoping that blocking will help a little, but maybe not a huge amount. I know I have this problem with mine when I'm doing back and forth. But anyway, you have the side panels that you knit from, up from the body to the sleeves, and then you at that when you're knitting that, you're um, you end up with the sleeves, and then you do the neck, or then we in the needle did the neckline I cord. And let's see how this is the back, yeah, and this is the front. When I did a gauge measurement for this, I was pretty okay in the gauge, using the tips that I had bought for this specific project. I'm using my Knit Pro interchangeables, and I had to get some new tips for them because I didn't have the right size for this project. Anyway, so my gauge watch was pretty okay when I did it, but this is this will be kind of boxy. So we'll be continuing the calc today because I'm on I've done phase 3, I think, and phase 4 is the lace part for the lower part of the body. And yeah, it's going to be boxier than I thought. The lace, of course, and the weight of the shirt will pull it a little like this. So yeah, it'll take a little bit off of the width, but still it's gonna be boxier than I thought. I don't mind the length of the sleeves because it was supposed to be like your normal t-shirt sleeve, I think, in the pattern pictures. But this mine will be more of a 2/3 kind of length. But it's fine. It's fine. I don't mind that. Uh, it's just that I really hope that I don't run out of yarn. But we'll see. And then I'll show you next time because I will have finished this next time. Um, I've had fun knitting it, and I kind of enjoy these these yarns. And I know that when I did the swatch, I noticed that the isager that I said that feels kind of hard when you're knitting it, it does become softer when you soak it, so that it'll be nice. I think it'll be nice to wear. But well, with this sort of construction, it's kind of difficult to uh, assess. I should have been able. I know that I've made some extra rows here on the shoulders because I was just watching some watching some podcasts, and I was just doing this, working this stockinette part on the shoulder, and then I was, oh wow, how many rows was I supposed to knit here? And then I noticed that I'd done 4 extra rows. 4 rows should not be that much. It's like this much, not even an inch, I think. Um, so an inch on one shoulder, and of course I did the same on the other shoulder. Um, that makes 4 inches, or well, not even 4 inches more of your circumference. So it shouldn't be that much, but given the fact that I was pretty well on the row gauge, but well, whatever. It'll be what it will be, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. Mm, it will be difficult to um, sort of modify it more, or to to repair it, because you do the whole upper part of the uh, shirt first. So you can't sort of, I found it difficult to try it on and sort of see how it will be when it's finished. But anyway, we'll see what happens, and we'll see how it looks next time, right? Still, the yarns are really nice. Um, there's a French podcaster who always talks about the cost of her project, and I might tell you that once I know how much yarn I will have used for this project. Uh, when I went to the yarn store, I did tell them that I don't really want to use too much money on this, because I don't know how it's gonna be, and I don't know if I like the combination of the mohair, silk mohair, and the lace weight yarn, how I'll like it, like wearing it. Um, but there weren't that many low price um, uh, options at the store. When I bought the yarns, they were like 36 euros or something, the yarns, and then I had to buy 2 tips for the interchangeable. So it was quite a few euros, plus the pattern, but maybe I'll try and add it up if you're interested for for the time when I show it to you as a finished object. But yeah, it'll be interesting, and I've liked knitting it, and I'm really looking forward to the lace, because I do like to knit lace. Lace weight yarn, wow. Well, it'll be fingering weight, because it's a fingering weight. It's a lace weight yarn with a lace weight silk mohair, so they're held together. It's a fingering weight yarn, but still, yeah, I like it, and I've seen the finished projects that there are in the Cal. People have already finished their shirts, and they're nice. They're really nice. Looking forward to seeing what mine will look. The size I'm knitting is large. For this scrappy pants also, I'm knitting with the stitch count of size large. Do I have anything else in here? No, 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 no. Yep. Well, that's called Kitty by Lauren Elkin. And then, yeah, the acquisition. So I have bought the yarns for the t-shirt. and then two sets of different size tips for the needles. So they're 5.0 millimeter and 4.5 millimeter, US sizes 8 and 7. So that's something that I've been buying, and something that I have not bought, but I have gotten. I was fortunate to win in a random prize draw for Sukka Finlandia, which was a Finnish sock knitting competition earlier this year. And my prize came a while ago, I guess a couple of weeks ago. And this is it, still in the package. It's Sandesgarn Sisu. It's a sock yarn, I think. This is from the yarn store Ilo. I know it's in Turku in Finland, and they also have a online shop, and I think they have international shipping. If you're interested, check them out. They have a huge variety of different yarns. So this is 80% wool, 20% nylon, and about 175 meters and 50 grams. So that's 350 meters in 100 grams. Light, cute, pale blue. So that's something I got. Yeah, that's it. Oh, everything's all been said. Not done though. I feel really unorganized, even though yes, I have my show notes and I have sort of thought about what I'm gonna be talking about, but apparently 4 weeks offline or off the air in a way, it's just weird. Next weekend I will be going to Tampere, which is some 2 hours drive south from here. There's a dog show in there, or actually two dog shows. Nordic dog show on Saturday and an international dog show on Sunday, and I'll be working with a French judge, or in his ring. Don't remember the name because I didn't. It was an unfamiliar name to me before. He has bred, or is still breeding, I think, flat-coated retrievers. So we'll have some retrievers in the ring on both days. So that's nice. For those of you who don't know, my first dog was a retriever. I had a Nova Scotia duck-tolling retriever, and I will have one. One day we'll have one again. Not now. I have a sheepdog, a Pyrenean sheepdog now, and I have my hands full with him right now. Don't have too much time to dog things, but dog shows, working in the dog shows are sort of a nice hobby. They give me an opportunity to talk with foreigners, because at work I do have the opportunity to speak English quite a bit, but French not so much. So it'll be fun to brush up my French next weekend. Yeah, that's all I have to say today. I hope you're all well and will continue to be, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks' time. Until then, happy knitting!